Team North to Alaska because I used to tell this story to my kids when I was little. I used to sing the song North to Alaska to them all the time to put them to best sleep. But the story goes like I'd been fishing my own boat off the coast of Washington for a couple of years while saving all my nickels to eventually fulfill my dream of fishing in Alaska with my own little trawler. And I was spending a lot of time in Westport. And there's a bar there that's still there today called the Naughty Pine. And on the jukebox in the bar was North to Alaska by Johnny Horton. I'd already was familiar with the song. I first heard that song when, the first year I went sailing out of high school. My first job, they played it on the seine boat all the time. So that the first year I ever went north to Alaska, that song played quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
it's been a part of my experience from day one, and I kind of adopted it as my theme song for my journey north. But I'd walk into the bar and throw in, and you could get 3 songs for a quarter at that time. So I'd walk into the bar and I'd stick a quarter in the jukebox and punch E5 3 times. And usually I just walk out again.
yeah.
And that only made it more fun. And eventually I scraped up enough money to head north, and I was all excited. And I went and got $5 worth of quarters. And I walked into the Naughty Pine, going to punch E5. What is that? I don't know, 100 times. And I walk up to the jukebox with my bag of quarters, and they'd taken it off. They'd taken Johnny Horton off. They put some other name on.
Oh no!
I was so disappointed. So it was crushing. I walked around, walked out, headed north to Alaska. Henry remembers the song, he remembers the story, and when we were looking for a name for this whole endeavor, he brought that up. And I thought, well, yeah, that's great. That's great that you remembered.
And the song is a great theme song.
It's a great theme song, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. And we're not sick of it, are we, Tommy?
No, I love that.
Damn straight.
It's a great song. Yeah.
Sing a few bars.
So then we're going north to Alaska. We're going
north. The rush is on. Way up north.
To Alaska.
Way up north.
To Alaska.
North to Alaska. We're going north. The rush is on.
River is winding, big nuggets they're finding. North to Alaska, we're going north, the rush is on. North to Alaska, we're going north, the rush is on.
Saw it here first. The only boat with a theme song.
Paper bride came all the way from China, Golden Gate, San Francisco Bay. Spent a lifetime on Angel Island, waiting for our wedding day.
The Inside Passage is a long and narrow waterway through the wilderness of the Canadian coastline that connects Washington and Alaska. The Race to Alaska is an adventure boat race that takes place here.
It's essentially kind of any craft you want to pick, a crew that you put together, and you got to get from one place to the other. And if you do, you're going to find me on the other end celebrating that huge accomplishment, because it is difficult enough that rarely do half the teams even finish. let alone finish well.
The Race to Alaska is a 750-mile race up the Inside Passage, and it starts in Port Townsend, where my kids grew up, and ends in Ketchikan, where we fish all summer as a family. So the question wasn't why do the race, the question was why not do the race? We were born to it.
This is the story of some boys and one old man in a homemade boat doing the race to Alaska. But it is also the story of connecting with one's roots, of the bonds of friendship and respect forged in shared experience. It is the story of the greatest adventure of my life.
Well, actually, this is the story of the second greatest adventure of my life.
The first being when we finished the race the first time as a capstone to my senior year of high school in 2017. And while our second race was awesome, it was slightly less exciting than the first.
But we have more film of this year, so it will have to do.
North to Alaska was first introduced to me when Henry and his dad Greg came into my office. Henry had said to me prior that he wanted to race. And I was like, great. We talked about it a little bit, but I wasn't sure, right? He was in high school. I knew him as energetic and determined, but I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. So he rolled in and he said, we want to race. And this is my dad. We're going to race with my dad. We have the experience. And I was like, you have the experience? Yeah, but do y'all know how to sail? And Henry's like, I don't know really how to sail. Neither does my dad, but we'll find that later. I'm like, all right.
Part of what made the first year so special and what makes our team so special is that my dad and brother and I built our race boat ourselves in our fishing net shed.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, one is built professionally by like a racing boat company, and one's built in a garage in the course of 2 months with some scrap aluminum. I mean, like our design is phenomenal. I mean,
Sharpies are a style of boat that we discovered in a library book.
They weren't even allowed to do races when they were made. They can only race against other Sharpies. So, I don't know. I mean, even though it's old technology, it can compete.
And I actually tell this story frequently. They pointed to the Sharpie and it's like, we think this would be a fantastic boat for the Inside Passage. And I'm like, I think you're right. That would be a great boat. And they're like, we're going to build it. I'm like, okay, we're going to build it.
Our requirements that helped determine our boat design choice were simple. It had to be cheap, it had to be easy to build, and it had to be endurance racing caliber.
It's another thing that's amazing, right? They built a boat that was designed for the race. Designed for the race in the way that they were accepting that challenge. Off Henry and Greg went, right, to do this. And the next thing I see is that they're building it, and they're building it in aluminum. But the other thing I remember is that when it all finally came together, I was noticing the masts were in wood. And Henry pointed to one and said, yeah, we got that from our neighbor's yard. Because it looked perfect for the build. And I was like, this is my kind of team.
Everything on our boat, from our masts to our oars to our sails, we built by hand. I say all this because every team does so much work to prepare for the race to Alaska. But that year, I don't think anybody else had the same amount of hands-on labor invested in their vessel.
The first year was special because it was all new. It was just, everything was a puzzle, right? From what kind of boat and how to do it and who's going to do it. And it was all brand new, and it was all kind of, and having no sailing experience, either me or my kids, that was brand new.
And people ask me, like, they don't know how to freaking sail. And I was like, it doesn't really matter. What they know how to do is to be safe on the water. They know how to take care of themselves on the water. And Henry, true to form, right, picked up a couple young guns that were like pro sailors. They were a couple years into it. They were racing. They knew how to sail.
It was a great puzzle to put together. And when we got it launched and ready to go, I felt we had done a pretty good job from zero. I felt like we were a credible entry, and we did well. Yeah, we made a real credible finish.
And on top of that, Henry is and still is the youngest captain to ever do the Race to Alaska and complete it. Was for a long time the youngest person ever to do it. and complete it. But no one's even come close as the captain. And so, marking all the box for me and why I created this race, there is North to Alaska. They're local. They're unsung heroes in that they're incredible people, but they've never been in Time magazine. They've never been in a World's Cup. They've never been celebrated in that way because they live the life of trying to be exceptional people in the skins they were born in. And Race to Alaska just allowed them to shine.
But that's all ancient history.
Because we're Team North to Alaska.
And we're racing again with a stacked new crew.
New high-tech rowing seats.
And not just to finish, but for the glory of first place. On May 31st, 3 days before the 2019 race start, our crew gathered together for the first time.
I got there the day before, I think, to Port Townsend.
Yeah, you came in on the bus, and I think Malachi was late, as usual, and we had 3 days to get our ship ready to depart. We spent the afternoon reassembling our masts and setting up our sails and rigging so that we could move it across the water from Maristone to Port Townsend.
It was good practice, learning how to put the sail on the mast.
Yeah, I think if we had practiced a little bit more, we would have been more prepared for the race start.
Baddest man in the whole damn town, badder than a old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Baddest man in the whole damn town, badder than old King Kong.
This is the wrong sail, guys.
And yeah, we didn't really practice anything before the race. I think I had sailed one time before we started stage one.
Well, yeah, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. My dad and brother and I, we'd just gotten back to Washington, actually.
The hard part of the whole thing, and I don't think anybody really understands this, is that we had to do a halibut trip just before the race. So my sons and I, we did this halibut trip, which is pretty grueling, flew down, and then we did the race. And then we had to fly back and do another halibut trip right after the race in order to get the halibut caught before salmon. And it's like doing 2 races back to back.
Yeah. So there we were, fresh off the plane from Alaska, ready to embark on another grueling adventure. Poison Ranger. This is outside the Northwest Maritime Center, the nonprofit organization that hosts the race. We all rode down in the back of Malachi's pickup truck with the rest of our gear to move our race boat over to our fishing boat, which we were using as a staging area.
What do you think, Eric?
Brought sandpaper
Dude,
Oh, this guy. I fucking love this guy.
this guy.
Why, man?
This is north to Alaska. It's 2,200 hours, night before the race start. And Eric McCorney is down in the boat, sanding.
Once we'd moved our race boat over to our big boat, we were still collecting outboard motors from other teams as they arrived in Port Townsend. Because our fishing boat was going to be going up to Alaska a few weeks after the start, Malachi had negotiated several transport deals to the tune of $100 a motor.
Good work, Malachi.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a businessman.
I am a businessman. I learned from the best. Beating Hans.
I need this board.
Want me to karate chop it?
No, but you can hold it for me.
Okay.
We organized our gear and made our final inspections to ensure everything was ready for the morrow. This can be one of the most stressful times before the race because you're always worried you're forgetting something. We listened to our VHF radio to scan for weather updates. The forecast for the morning was dicey. There would be wind against current, which would lead to a big swell outside Point Wilson, the last area of headland before being in open water. That night, Malachi, our returning crew, made some bold predictions for Tommy, my friend from college, who was new to the crew and who hadn't been sailing since he was a little kid.
In this boat, when it gets windy, it gets bad.
You think we're gonna capsize?
No. I think the mast is gonna break before we capsize.
Let's hope none of those things happen.
And with those heartwarming thoughts in our minds, we went to sleep.
Wakey, wakey. Oh, shit. Let's go!
Yeah!
It's time to go, boys! It's go time! Way up north. North to Alaska. We'll go north to Russia's on. Hi, Mom.
Hi, honey.
What do you have to say?
You're forced feeding me disgusting pizza at 4 o'clock in the morning. What should I take?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No. You're supposed to say thank you.
GoPro? Don't go from me.
And so we donned our life jackets and dry suits and made our way to the starting line. Stage 1 of the race to Alaska, known as the Proving Ground, encompasses nearly 40 miles of open water between Port Townsend and Victoria. This is the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and it can be a very punishing body of water. With only 36 hours to cross and ever-shifting winds and currents, many teams do not advance past the first stage. The weather was hardly favorable, but it was forecast to get worse in the afternoon and evening. As the conditions were holding that morning, we chose to cross directly.
Way up north, to Alaska. Way up north, to Alaska. North to Alaska. You better got that. The Russia's on. North to Alaska. Go north, the Russia's on. Big Sam left Seattle in the year of '92. With George and his partner and brother Billy too. They crossed the Yukon River and found a bonanza gold below that old white mountain, just a little southeast of Nome.
Our stage 1 was characterized by the electric excitement of actually being out on the water in the race, but also that excitement giving over to frustration as we refamiliarized ourselves with our boat and as we contended with the wind and tides.
No, we're dry, thank you. No water is coming to the boat yet. No, you can't see anything, it's fine.
We were exhausted. Nobody had slept well in the days leading up to the race start, and we dozed whenever and wherever we could as we sailed effectively for the first time that morning, and the conditions did not demand our attention. My dad sat at the helm, holding our course across the strait, wary of any changes in the wind or sea state. We rowed when we couldn't sail, and we sailed when we could, reefing and unreefing as the wind shifted between alarmingly strong gusts and light and variable breezes. By 2 p.m., we were 2/3 of the way across the strait, but then the wind died down and the tide changed.
No longer was it with us. I can't stress enough how much tides matter, as any mariner knows, but for anyone that doesn't, every 6 hours it is either with you or against you. And in a small boat like ours, powered only by the wind or by our oars and our arms, we are completely at the tide's mercy.
One of the things I love about Race to Alaska is in its design, it will expose your weaknesses. No matter how hard you prepare, no matter how much you practice, no matter how many routes you create, technology you try and buy, people you bring around you, the race course itself will find the weakness in you and it will exploit it till you're crying in the corner.
As the foot of Vancouver Island drew close enough to make out houses, the tide was very insistently pushing us sideways to the east, away from Victoria.
That tide, it was kicking our ass. Yeah. We were, it was flashbacks to 2017. We could see the harbor, and that tide was just sucking us right past that point. No time.
Going backwards.
Yeah.
Sailing forwards, going backwards.
We rowed against the tide more vigorously until the wind finally built up in the evening, allowing us to sprint the final stretch to Victoria Harbor at a speedy 7 to 8 knots, It was a triumphant way to finish, considering we hadn't even got there on the first day in 2017.
I was excited, and I think the entire time, even when things were, rough and you're getting sprayed by the bow spray and it was cold and we were tired, it was
like coming into the finish line made it all worth it.
Victoria, we love you!
So there's a whole race just in getting your boat to the start line, and finishing stage 1 feels like a culmination of all that work that you've put in.
Rowing into the harbor in Victoria was one of the best feelings of my entire life.
That night, we slept like the dead after going out for a team dinner to celebrate. We awoke in the morning to the bell ringing as other teams finished on the second day.
Hey, good morning, Dad. How are you feeling this fine day?
I got tired, so I thought I'd lay down for a nap.
Okay.
There are 3 days in Victoria between the first stage and the second stage. Racers use this time to make any repairs or adjustments that they discovered they needed to make during the first leg, and a meet and greet with racer fans down in the inner harbor. That afternoon we shopped for a replacement bilge pump because we'd broken ours on the way over, and we added permanent reef nettles to our sails for the first time. After all our chores were finished and we'd taken care of the essentials like brushing our teeth, I asked the crew to sit down and reflect on how our first stage went.
Well, I don't personally have a lot of experience sailing, but I felt good about it. It was my second time actually contributing to sailing on a boat. When we first were on it, I was just kind of trying to watch and see what other people were doing, because that's how I feel like I'm going to learn the best, is from watching people.
Absolutely.
But and I'm hoping to be able to recognize when things need to be done, and I think I'm getting better at that.
I think we were able to adjust to the circumstances really well. We made a lot of adjustments, and they worked for the most part. We didn't have any real horrible things go wrong, but we were certainly able to deal with the things that did go wrong. I think the lack of a bilge pump was a little disconcerting until we got the old shit bucket out.
Yeah.
Works every time.
Works every time.
Works every time.
Automatic function.
Didn't have too many moving parts.
There's a little hole. Nothing the bilge master can't handle.
Because our main bilge pump had failed early on in the crossing, Malachi had taken over bailing with our bucket, which was also our toilet.
That's what this boat is all about. It's working. Yeah. It's a working boat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Malachi saw something that needed to be done, and he did it.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good shakedown.
Yeah.
This was a shakedown cruise for everyone involved. And I would say the performance was pretty good. We learned a lot, and you look at these other boats, and they're doing a lot more maintenance than we are.
It's true.
There's divers in the water just back there on these multi-hulls. And our boat, our fatality was the bilge pump, because what we have is primitive
and rock solid.
And it's rock solid.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt. I already got a wound.
The hard edges of the aluminum everywhere.
From rowing.
Chafing on those oars. That's something that we're learning. We're adapting, and we're wiser. We've had a lot more discussions about weather and strategy, and we were very cautious, which I think is good.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, it's good.
I'm really excited about how that first leg went. That was just insane.
We're already ahead.
We're already so much better than we were. We're already so much better than we were, and I'm really excited about what that means for us in the rest of the race.
I think also, Henry, you've become a very good damn sailor between this year and last year.
Thank you.
I think you've got a pretty good grasp.
So have you. You've improved. We've both improved a lot. Yeah.
So that helps.
That does help. Yeah.
We're not at the mercy of
Malachi and Sean. Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
We don't really have to brook their disagreeing opinions now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stage 2 features a Le Mans-style race start. The racers have to run down the docks to their boats. It's one of the most exciting parts of the whole race.
choice that you didn't make, everything you did and everything you didn't do all happens right now.
Here's Daniel Evans. He's the R2AK race boss and mastermind behind the whole event. He's also really good at giving speeches.
I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for believing in yourself, heading up to Ketchikan. We believe in you, man, and if there's anything to celebrate, it's that you're here right now. You're running down to these docks, and you're putting it all on the line to make this happen. So thank you for being here.
Wait, get on!
You can say what you will about Team North to Alaska, but we've never lost a Stage 2 race start.
All right, you boys ready? Pull out, nice and steady. Together. Let me go together.
Gaining on everyone.
All the way to the front.
You guys get style points. You really do. One at a time.
Keep it together, boys. Just to the harbor mouth we go.
I want blood on those oars.
I want blood.
I want blood on those oars. Okay, raise the boys. Raise the sails. Raise the sails.
Woo!
Raising the sails while trying to maintain speed is always tricky, because you got to maneuver around your own oarmen, and at that stage, nobody else knew how to do it. It's never a very elegant process. Not like our competitors here.
Here, do the mizzen, Don't worry about it, I got it.
Tie this. Tie that. I'm filling them out.
Watch your head. Head. Roll, boys! Good. You're going to.
All the poor bastards out there ain't gonna get any of this. No, and they got a long ways to tack in.
Once around the Victoria Harbor mouth, every team jockeyed for position in light wind and swirly currents.
Let's pull that jib in.
In those kind of conditions, even the smallest adjustments could make a big difference.
There we go.
All right.
We settled in as a light westerly wind picked up, and as the race pack spread out, we made our way around the foot of Vancouver Island. The Race to Alaska is a sailing race unlike any other, in that there are no divisions, no classes, and no handicaps. Any kind of boat goes, from carbon fiber racing trimarans to stand-up paddleboards. But it's kind of a given that the fast, expensive boats are going to win. This creates two de facto classes: big, fast competitors and little dirtbag masochists. And we just happen to be the dirtbag masochists with the biggest chip on our shoulders. We're unreasonably competitive. My dad tells everyone we're in it to win it, and part of him believes we can actually do it. I don't go that far, but I still want to beat boats that are objectively better than ours. See, we take the human power aspect of R2AK very seriously. We estimate that we rode 60% of the course in 2017. When there's no wind, we catch up to the fast boats. So there's always the hope that one windless year, our rowing ability will win out against the teams that primarily sail.
And this is a fast group of boats here that we're trying to keep up with. You can see us right on the tail end. There's McGuffin Brothers racing up there. Just slightly ahead. They just pulled ahead through that last pass that we went through.
Yeah, it's been
we're
neck
both
and neck with
averaging pretty close speeds. Yeah, and that is the tracker update. The evening of day 1.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
We're in the Straits of Georgia. Big open body of water. We got a fair amount of wind, and the weather's good, and we're moving pretty good. Everybody's pretty happy. We don't have to row, we get a sail.
Everybody was pretty happy except Joey, who at the time was having some pretty amusing relationship troubles.
You're tired, buddy. I know you want to be back there sleeping. Do you want some green powder?
Yeah.
You want to wake up with some Joey juice?
Yeah, you want some of Joey's secret juice?
We need you
Some of the hot sauce.
Gotta hop on the tiller so that I can help these guys row, because we were averaging a sweet 5 knots just about 300 yards back there, but we just hit some nasty currents. Hop on the stick. Steered 298.
Can do that.
Alright.
Over there. It's Canada. And over there. That's a man.
We spent a good portion of day 2 intermittently rowing and sailing, depending on how strong the breeze was at any given moment. If we ever dipped below 2 knots while sailing, we would switch back to rowing.
Casualties of day 1.
Sucks to suck.
You said it was good because it keeps you warm at night.
Yeah, sunburn keeps you warm at night. It's a false sense of hope. It's nice. Ignorance is bliss.
That's right.
How's our style points looking on this boat?
Huge style.
Style points? Style points? What do you think?
Style points we get for like 1.4 knots.
No, that's pretty sad. Are you doing 2 knots yet? No, no. All right.
Oh, we got 2.5 knots.
Are you sailing?
We're sailors.
So nearly.
Not for long.
Not for long. It'll go away real
It'll
quick.
be gone.
What? It's good. Yeah, let me give you a little view of what I'm looking at over here. You see that? We want it.
2 knots.
Yeah. It's staying above 2 knots though. That's no.
And so it went on like this, barely getting 2 knots for most of the morning. The wind lasted long enough for us to have a quick lunch, and then we returned to our primary mode of propulsion.
the honest teeth, yeah. Oh my gosh.
You need to mix it right. You need like
gross.
waterbury cup.
They're gross. I'm gonna have a bagel.
Homemade
King salmon.
King Alaskan smoked salmon.
Caught on our fishing boat.
In those early days, we still had the bulk of our best provisions and snacks. Soon, we would be eating entirely dehydrated Mountain House meals.
All right, we're rowing 6 knots. There you go. This is teamwork right here. Teamwork.
This is our competitive edge.
This is how we're gonna.
How we stay in it.
Yeah.
When they're all ahead of us. We creep up when there's no wind.
No wind is good wind for the Horton. Look at all that muscle. It's like a great big stallion. Ready to race.
He talked to his team of huskies as he mushed on through the snow, with the northern lights are running wild in the land of the midnight sun. Yes, Sam McCord was a mighty man in the year of 1901. Back here the crew sleeps. The gentle snores. Gentle snores.
After several hours of sustained rowing at a lightning speed, some of the crew slept while the others sailed with the tide.
And people are getting rested up now.
Much needed.
Much needed rest. He's sleeping great now, you know? He didn't used to ever be able to go home. He just lays down. He's out. Love to see it.
It's great.
You want to explain why it's so important that we clock 5 knots right now?
Well, it's critical because the main pack is coming up on Campbell River right now.
So, to back up, Campbell River is a checkpoint. It's also kind of a way spot for the tide at Seymour Narrows. You can't buck the tide through Seymour Narrows.
And the ebb is the tide we need to get across to the other side of Seymour Narrows. Otherwise, we gotta wait 6 hours. So we got 47 miles to go, and we need to get there by 3:20 in the morning. So if we make it
really tight, but
if we make it, then we're going to be keeping up with the rest of the pack of multi-holes. And if we don't make it, then we're going to be, you know, stuck waiting for 6 hours.
Yeah, it'll really put us a lot further back in the race if we can hit the tide at the same time everybody else, because they're all going to have to be waiting there. Even though they're ahead of us right now, they're going to have to wait for the right tide to get through Seymour Narrows. So we got to get there too, and we're at the very back of the pack.
We're at the back, but we have a chance.
Yeah, we do have a chance.
It looks like I think we're going to make it.
Yeah, we've been rowing pretty much since noon up until the last 2 hours here. Some of the best rowing we've done so far. We clocked 6 knots with everybody rowing together, which is what I figured the best we'd be able to do.
Steady 5.
And we did
for 6 hours.
a steady 5 for 6 hours, which is amazing. I think that's a pretty dramatic improvement over anything we could row in the past. 3 was fast for us rowing in the past, yeah. I'm a little disappointed that we're like performing this remarkably and we're still at the back of the pack of these guys.
There's a lot of
fast boats this year.
High performance boats this year.
Yeah. But that's okay. We're still in it. And we can see our competitors up ahead. We can see their pretty spinnakers flying, catching this light and variable breeze. Tommy almost got hooked. Should be light and variable for the next 3 days. So which is what's exciting about all of them having to wait to get through. Because we do awesome in this. And they got this jump on us in the night because it was blowing southerly and they all have spinnakers. And we don't. We still do good in downwind sailing, but they just do better.
A lot better.
Yeah. But as soon as the wind cuts out, we can catch up because we're awesome at rowing.
We do a lot better.
Yeah. So we'll be back with the pack, and there won't be a lot of wind, and we'll be able to vie for position again, which I'm looking forward to. Because we left Victoria in awesome position. Yeah. We were smoking them. We had such a good lead, and then the wind picked up. And
You having fun, Greg?
Someone drowning over there?
I am having fun. You're not looking at me though. You're looking at the sunset. Yeah, I'm drowning. I'm having a great time. So we're feeling pretty good. We're gonna. evening is coming on. It's starting to get a little bit dark, and we're going to have a clear shot at Campbell River and wait for the next tide along with all our competitors.
Averaging about 5 knots right now. We just rode 6 miles in the last hour, and we've got 39.7 to go to Seymour Narrows, and it looks like we're gonna make it. Thanks to our badass rowing crew and some favorable southerly. We got Razzle Dazzle, the Katie from Global right up ahead of us. Seaforth Expeditions, not too far ahead of them. 2 top opponents on our frenemies list. We're competitive, man. We're in dead last of like all the fast boats, but we're creeping up on them. We're laying the weed seam, and we're gonna hit Seymour Narrows. So
We're gonna give him the old 1-2.
we're gonna give him the old 1-2. Yeah, nice hard left hook, and then a big hard right uppercut, and knock him down. KO. But right now it's just beautiful. Great speed. I love downwind sailing.
That's when the wind dies, and then it starts to veer. It actually slows down and starts to veer more to northwest. And before you know it, we're bucking a heavy current with the wind right on our nose. We're going nowhere.
Just as darkness fell, the calm southerly wind shifted to a ripping northwesterly.
Against the current and the wind on the nose, we have a lot of problems typically. And we started having a lot of problems.
Frigid waves broke over our bodies and the boat. We were taking on more water than we had in our stage 1 crossing. It was a good thing we bought that new bilge pump in Victoria, and Joey manned it for half the night. The wind and tide continued to beat against us, and we struggled to maintain speed as we pounded through the breakers. Everyone holding a sail sheet held it tight, ready to spill any excess wind from a gust that threatened to capsize us.
Well, we're fine now, but we weren't. All right.
We're tacking back and forth, and it was a battle to go nowhere. And we did that for like 2 or 3 hours, and it's getting really dark, and it's still really crappy, and just a little bit sketchy all the way around. We decided that when we've gone nowhere, we decided to duck in behind Lazo and wait for a tide change or weather or daylight or something.
And so all of our hopes and our successes of the first 2 days were undone in a single night by a simple change of the wind.
You're gonna film your disappointment?
Yeah.
Film the misery and depression, the anger.
That's right.
I love it. I love it.
15 to 25 this afternoon.
Yeah.
So we should make as much hay as we can on this tide.
Yeah. About to get gross again.
Huh?
It's about to get gross again.
Yeah. Gross and headwind.
Headwinds.
Nice knowing you boys.
Yeah.
Good luck out there.
This was a very serious setback, and it hit everybody's morale pretty hard.
Oh, it was horrible. It was the night. It was 12 hours lost. 12 hours. It was 24 hours lost because we lost the night and then we lost the day. It took all day rowing against the tide to get to Campbell River. Seymour Narrows. We won't get through till 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
We're fucked.
Yeah, I thought we could make it, but I thought.
Hope. Hope is dangerous.
They gave us hope.
And then we had to row all the way to Cape Mudge, and the tide never went with us. It stayed against us the whole damn way.
Drying all our stuff out at the end of the night.
Yeah.
After a long night of getting smashed.
What a fine figure of a man. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you have those in hand?
Huh?
Did you have those in hand?
Oh. Thanks.
We arrive in Campbell River, absolutely worn out. All our competitors are long gone.
So here we are in Campbell River, 6 o'clock, day 3 of the race to Alaska.
We had to ford up at Campbell River, wait for the next tide, and when we got to have ice cream in Campbell River, and we got to kind of relax a little bit. We went out to dinner with some fans that took us out to dinner, and that was fun. So we kind of got a little morale boost.
A third of what we needed.
At the pub.
We're going up to the pub.
To the pub.
Yeah. Going to the pub.
Building. Part of the college project. We got some funding for this college.
Hey,
which college was that?
Willamette University.
Oh, I know Willamette.
Oh, good, good.
Willamette.
Willamette. Go Bearcats. Go Bearcats.
Katie and Dell, who we had never met before, were on a sailing trip of their own. But they saw us come into the harbor and they knew exactly what we were doing. They quickly came up to us and invited us to dinner.
Uncomfortably long amount of time, and then they just walked away.
And then when we did leave, it was on the evening tide, getting dark. We left early and caught the ebb right up to Seymour Narrows. That all worked out perfectly. We hit the tide just great at Seymour Narrows. We just shot through with the little wind.
Actually, my dad's forgetting to mention a little key detail here.
I kind of screwed up.
Yeah, you kind of screwed up.
I kind of screwed up, you guys.
Slack water is not at 9.
It's not 9.
And we have no business being out here at 8:30.
Did we miss a tide?
Go back to the dock.
Cut us loose! I screwed up. Okay.
Slack water is at 11.
We didn't miss a tide, right?
No.
No.
Okay.
But
We're
it's
too early.
just way too early.
We're way too early.
Oh, back to the pub.
No.
Back to the pub.
Go get a nap. Let's go back and take a nap.
We did eventually make it through Seymour Narrows, and we breezed through it with the wind at our backs, just like he said.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end, no safety, no surprise. The end.
So Eric and I took helm watch for the night, and you know we're going on 4 hours of sleep a day, you know. And we went to Seymour Narrows, and I love Seymour Narrows. We were just keeping each other awake, you know. Started hallucinating.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, fuck, that's not fun.
But I was so tired, fell asleep on the helm, you know, and Eric took over. And I just was wearing my Grundens, all my base layers, everything I had. Put on my survival suit, curled up in a fetal position with a heat escape lessening, laid right here. Fell asleep immediately.
We made it through Seymour Narrows last night, finally, after about a 4-hour layup in Campbell River, where we treated ourselves to ice cream cones and beer. We went through Seymour Narrows last night around 11? Midnight again. Yeah, 2 for 2 on the midnight passage. We clocked 14 knots, which is our record. Previously held at 13 knots, which was also achieved by hitting the high ebb in Seymour Narrows. And now we're up in Chatham right at Chatham Point. Yeah. We've been
having breakfast,
rowing all morning, and we're waiting for the flood to end to get around Chatham Point. And we're having a nice breakfast. Breakfast skillets, coffee.
I always wanted to come into Chatham Point for years. It always says a pretty little spot.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Covered with rocks.
I love rocks.
Yeah.
I love rocks.
Jaron, if you ever watch this, those are bristlecone pines behind us. I know you love those trees. At least I think they are. Shout out my arborist.
Arborist Jaron Solomons. Yeah, this is a pretty cool spot.
Today is Malachi's birthday. He's 23.
Oh, Malachi's 23. Yep, an old man. Malachi is
Good man.
Pretty well washed up.
Yeah, I don't really see him doing a lot more in his life at this point. Sadly, this is probably the last big adventure he'll go on. Yeah.
It all went downhill after 22.
It all went downhill after 22, yeah. Broke up with his girlfriend, lost his job. He's gonna be homeless in Juneau.
What a way to paint that.
Malachi did a wonderful job last night.
He always does.
Yeah, as usual, very much up to the task. He piloted us through the passage, through the cut. We had some squirrely moments with some pretty big tide rips. There's a lot of wind. It's exciting.
Got kind of cold last night.
It got very cold last night. Yeah, I had to wake up and add more layers.
I struggled.
Everybody felt that, yeah.
I'm now on sock pair number 3. Gonna try and make this one last a couple days.
Is it because they're wet or
yeah,
what?
the last one's got wet. So we're hoping for some sun. Dry off some socks.
Tommy didn't know that after going through Seymour Narrows, hoping for some sun was pretty foolish, and he was about to get a whole lot colder.
Johnstone Strait, for the most part, was just a breeze. It was almost totally uneventful. We just went down it.
Johnstone Strait for us that year was when all the best, all the finest aspects of our boat met with the perfect weather conditions for it. We covered over 100 miles in less than a day. Whether we were sailing or rowing, it seemed we always had the current with us. It was a time for the crew to rest and recover from the battle we had fought at Cape Lazo the day before. It was also a time that we began to regain some hope that we were still in the race.
Well, this is nice. This is real nice.
And boom, we were racing again. All the way up Johnstone Straits was absolutely wonderful again. Wind with us, tide with us, just screaming along, starting to put all of our troubles behind us. Okay, we're going to be winners. And then it started to rain, and it started to rain some more. And then it never quit raining, and we hit what I would call the northern temperate zone, where rain is more common than not.
They ask us, how do we carry enough water for the trip? We don't. We just count on it raining half the time and drinking off our sails.
It's true. Oh yeah.
Staying dry.
We lick the sails, we lick the spars.
Oh, here.
It's like, oh boy, the spar licking that gives it a nice oily flavor.
Little oily twang, yeah.
Flavor.
Flavor.
Deep in.
We don't lick the oars because sometimes people pee on them.
Yeah.
As in people, we mean Greg.
Just
people. People pee on the oars sometimes.
Sometimes.
I don't know who.
How you doing, birthday boy?
No place I'd rather be.
No place you'd rather be. How would you rate your fucking birthday, your 23rd birthday?
Oh, it was good. We stood 3 watches together.
Hell yeah.
Fucking covered a lot of
Covered
ground.
a lot of ground.
Against all
odds. Against
weather.
all odds.
Against all tides.
No wind.
No wind.
Just rowing.
Past 2 boats.
16 hours. Yeah. We went from 20th to 18th today.
Feels good.
Feels good.
Catching up after some setbacks.
Yeah.
Morale is high.
Finally. Finally.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday we were reeling from our defeat, but today we rally.
That's right. And our huskies are mushing.
Look at those huskies. Look at the huskies. Mush, damn you! Eric Husky.
Hush.
Mush.
Hush.
Mush.
Hush.
Mush.
Hush. Yeah. They're still learning. You know how huskies are. They're argumentative.
Yeah. They have a pretty argumentative temperament.
Rowers.
We fucking rode all day while you were sleeping, laddie.
Go to sleep.
I need you guys to go faster. That next boat isn't gonna pass itself.
Oh, wise word.
Yep, that's what I'm here for. Your captain, imparting words of wisdom.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, it's coming down. It's coming down. Come on, man, all together!
Whoa, damn your eyes!
Malachi and I had just gotten off our watch as the rain started to really come down, so we set up our deck tent, which was a modified tarp, and we heckled our crew.
It's a good day to be a sailor!
It's a great day!
Alright, all together, man! What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises. Early in the morning, shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor. Early in the morning, way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises. Early in the morning.
Till he's sober,
Put him in the longboat till he's sober. Put him in the longboat till he's sober. Early in the morning, way up she rises, way up she rises, way up she rises. Early in the morning. Come on! Damn you, scallywags! Come on!
By morning, we had developed cracks in our armor. Serious cracks. Tommy was shivering to death in the crew quarters. Eric, who had been up most of the night in the rain, was complaining bitterly about being cold and wet. And we had a mutiny on our hands, basically.
So far, I'm the least pissed off at Malachi for taking care of himself.
Because I brought 2 sets of base
Everybody
layers.
else is fucking wet and complaining about it.
Oh yeah. Race to Alaska, open cabin boat.
Wow, you thought it was gonna be dry.
How cold could it be?
How cold could it be?
It's a shame.
It's a damn shame.
Damn shame.
So we woke up to this mutiny of Tommy and Eric being cold, absolutely shivering, thinking they were going to die of hypothermia. And we discussed our options. And I had mentioned that we could probably stop in Port Hardy or Alert Bay and get a laundromat and dry out our soaking wet clothes. So we talked about the dryer option, and Henry was adamant against it. He was like, oh no, we got good weather. We're right there. We can, from Alert Bay there, we can see out into the straits. And we got good weather. We got boats on our tail. We got boats just ahead of us. Stopping is just not an option. And that rang true to me and to the other warm people, Malachi and Joey, because Joey was wearing my dry suit. Was wearing a dry suit. Yeah, it rang true to the warm people, but the cold people were not buying it. They really wanted to get warm.
But Eric actually went to sleep believing that we were going to stop in Alert Bay that evening or afternoon. He was getting off of his shift after we had that discussion, and he had the impression that we were actually going to stop.
Yeah.
And then when he woke up, we were far, far gone, far past Alert Bay, far past Port Hardy, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was quite a shock to the poor lad.
Hypothermia is not a concern.
No.
Cold is just another state of being.
Cold's a state of mind.
It's a lifestyle choice.
Huh?
It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. Lifestyle choice. Yeah, right.
It's trending.
It's trending.
Hypothermia?
Yeah.
Trending.
Trending. Get with it.
We scrounged up what dry clothes we could from our own dry bags to refit Tommy and Eric. We passed Alert Bay early in the morning while Eric was still sleeping, and those of us on watch decided not to stop. Queen Charlotte Sound is the largest and most exposed body of water in the entire race to Alaska. It's essentially 40 miles of open ocean. Here, between Queen Charlotte Strait and Fitzhugh Sound, we suffered the greatest setback of our entire race.
This is like Queen Charlotte Sound, I'd say, is like the middle of the race. So we're like thoroughly immersed into this experience. And this is the point where you can start to see people that are weathered and worn out, and you start to see who we really, become, what our shape is, without sleep and all that. And Henry and I, we rode for 3 watches in a row. So we rode like 16 hours straight. And then we just, because we were like, we're going to kick some ass here. We got a good rhythm. We're just going to keep going. And we got to make up for lost time. So, because there was always this flickering bit of hope in us, So, just kept going, setting small goals and small dreams, and then just getting crushed.
It's a long, large body of water. It's open to the open ocean. How can it be breathless of wind? It just boggles the mind, but it was. So we had a crew change in the middle of the night. Henry and Malachi and I laid down and left Eric and Joey and Tommy on watch.
So there's a lot going on in a really small space. It's like a really human experience, I would say. So they fall back into their own mind when they're rowing, right? And then we take different watches and different parts of the race. People take charge, sort of like there's different leadership opportunities, I would say. So Eric, he took the lead for their watch with Joey and Tommy.
The next thing I know, I get up and it's foggy. It's still dark and it's foggy. And Tommy is steering using the compass and I don't know what. And Eric and Joey were rowing. And I got up and I went back and I looked at where we'd been. I looked at our slug trail and we'd been going just kind of, not quite in circles, just long zigzags this way and that way and back. and it was like, I was in shock. I was in total shock. How could they be? They were acting like they were in the race, but they weren't racing anywhere. They weren't going anywhere. So I got Henry up and Malachi up to get a crew change, just to do something, just to get off of this crazy nonsense course we were on. And that's when we had the little ensuing. Well, they got up, and we put the other boys to bed, and then we talked about it for a while, and decided that we needed to make some changes. You gotta get your head under there.
We rode
body under there, under the
all night long
under the washboard
to cross Queen Charlotte Sound, the widest, openest body of water in the race to Alaska.
He's not even close.
The crew is fucking dead. The sound is not crossed. It's foggy. No idea where we're going.
We're all fucked up.
Everybody's fucked up.
Everyone's all sorts of fucked right now.
The hands are fucked.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic dealing with, the mission, the tired, the sleep deprivation, the crew dynamics. I don't know. It's an interesting balance between, I want to get this shit fucking done.
You gotta take pride in the mission. You gotta love the mission. You gotta, that way, even if you're sleep deprived, you know what you're working towards is something you care about.
Embrace the suck.
You gotta embrace the suck.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, right, it sucks.
You signed up for this.
Yeah. If it didn't suck, it wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
So we had a confrontation the next day, the following day when we were sailing, and I think people were just, they reached their limit, or what they thought was their limit, and pushing past that sustainably. It's like, it's not easy. Like, you're gonna become someone that you don't think highly of, because it's hard.
I sailed all night. I'm saying I have been doing things. I have been
Well, you have.
Eric, we all agree.
We all know that.
Yeah.
You've been
We all know.
performing very well. We're not attacking
Okay,
you.
well, communicate it and don't bicker about with yourselves when we're sleeping up here.
No. We're trying.
You're talking shit.
No,
about your
we're
crew
not
while
trying to
we're
talk
on the
shit.
boat. I've heard everything you guys are saying.
We're-
If you have a problem, talk to us.
That's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing right now.
Don't do it behind our back.
No,
when
it's
we're
not.
sleeping.
We literally are telling you exactly the same things we discuss.
And the thing is I feel like everything becomes very personal. Everything is it's what you get out, what you put in. So there's no tiptoeing around, hey, sorry. It's like, no, you suck. You guys went 3 miles in 6 hours, and we did 3 watches in a row. And then they were putting dudes down, going to bed. Like, what?
Why did Razzle Dazzle pass? Why did they go from 10 miles to 3 miles in one watch? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, Malcolm, what could I have done to cover more ground?
Okay, Eric. Okay, so Eric. Yeah. One thing.
crew.
We know how strong you are and what
Just
a
Joey and
benefit you bring.
One person was steering and one person was rowing. I don't need compliments.
I know. What I'm saying is that makes
hard motherfucker.
That makes you a senior fucking member of the crew, and the junior guys need your leadership when you're on a watch with them. And if it's just going to be you three, I need you to take some leadership and flog the guys, and you need to motivate them.
Greg, I kind of have, haven't I? We both have when we're rowing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I can't just
I
yell at them.
Hey,
all the time.
Eric, I same thing. I get tired of flogging too. I get tired of saying, hey, you guys, hey, you guys, hey, you guys.
Yeah.
It just wears you fucking out. So it does.
Makes you feel like a real asshole.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you want to pull a little harder? Hey, why don't you pick up an oar? Hey, it's just it's a constant fucking battle.
So what? First of all, Tommy, I need you to row harder. Okay? and I need you to participate more actively in that watch. All right? Because, no, Joey, you did awesome last night, and Dad said so that he saw it, okay? All right? But what I'm saying is we need to collectively work. We all need to take the same amount of pride in the mission. Like, we're trying to do this fast, and we're trying to beat the teams that are around us. Like, we are. Like, yeah, we're not going to be the fastest hotshot boat in the race, but we're trying to fucking beat people. And that requires everything that you got, and you need to do more.
Yeah, so after we got out of Queen Charlotte Sound and we had our big confrontation and kind of a recalibration on focusing on what mattered to us, like choosing to race, we had to fight tooth and nail to get into Bella Bella. And by the time we got to Bella Bella, we were out of propane for our camp stove, so there's no hot meals, there's no coffee. Morale was really freaking low.
So,
stepped on a steel grade dock. Feel great. Fog really sets into your clothes real well.
Everything's really damp.
Everything's really wet.
Really damp.
And we got into Bella Bella. We spent the night down on the dock, and we went into town and we got to hang out with a few of the locals. Everybody there was like excited to see us. They knew what we were doing, very hospitable. They wanted to help us. My dad ended up finding an entirely new camp stove with the right kind of propane fittings, so we got refitted. We were gonna have hot meals again. And we always like stopping in Bella Bella because it feels good to be received like that when you've just been grinding just so hard.
You're famous, son. You're welcome. You're famous.
Right,
I'm a flower pot.
Right camera, just like
The people who do the Race to Alaska solo are an entirely different breed, and Sean of Team Soggy Crew was one of them. He was tied up across the dock from us in Bella Bella, but early in the afternoon he went on his way.
And then leaving Bella Bella was good because I was like, all right, we are pretty much like we're getting into the end of the race, and I think it was a good time to stop. And then it was like the 7th inning stretch in a baseball game. It was just
recalibrate.
Yeah, all right, we can do it.
We're gathered here today to send off a good seaman, a good shipmate, a veteran of the expedition. Dead Tom was a good camp stove. He came aboard as crew with Sean Westland in the year of 2017, and he served faithfully before the mast on both expeditions to Alaska up to this date. Yesterday, Tom breathed his last breath of propane, never more to repair us warm mountain houses or cowboy coffee. He will be remembered, and he will not have perished in vain. We commit him to his final resting place in the depths.
My Tom! My Tom!
Amen. Are we back in the saddle, boys? Are we back in it? Are you happy to be sailing? Are you happy?
Take it off. Oh yeah. There's no reason, you can't have hope. That's the worst thing you can do on this boat, is have hope, because if you don't have any hope, they can't take anything from you.
morning of day 8 was, I think, the lowest point for me personally. And Tommy and Eric and I were all on watch together, and we made coffee, and the coffee in our mugs was cold after like 5 minutes from being really hot to just lukewarm.
It's the morning of day 8, and I just got the least sleep I've ever gotten so far on this trip. We are out in the middle of Millbank Sound, still about 200 miles from Ketchikan, and our last watch did 3 miles in 6 hours. And it's so cold.
Henry was freezing, which was surprising to see because I hadn't seen Henry falter yet. It was cold. It was probably the coldest it had been the entire time.
I hadn't been colder over the whole course of the race, and I think each day that you're out there, every morning, like you expect that you're going to wake up cold, but you just start to wake up incrementally colder and colder and colder to the point where you don't even want to go to sleep because you know that as soon as your body stops moving, you're going to freeze. And so I woke up that morning just like chilled to my bones, and I couldn't warm up again.
I woke up thinking that they'd gone through Higgins Pass, because there's no way that they had it in that amount of time. But we're still very far away from Higgins Pass.
But as the morning wore on and it kind of got lighter out, warmed up a little bit, we were rowing, and then in the distance we just hear this splashing sound, and we're facing the horizon behind us, kind of where the sun is rising, and out over the water you can just see this like silver splashing on the water. And as it got closer to us, we realized they were porpoise, like hundreds and hundreds of porpoise, as far as the eye could see across the horizon, swimming towards us. And pretty soon they were just all around us next to the boat, and we were all just like taken in by that moment.
Here they come.
And it was just magical, and it set the tone for the rest of the day. Like after that, even though the morning had been absolutely miserable, people were happier. Like we just cheered up, and we were coming up on Higgins Pass, which is always really cool to go through. We went through the shallow parts, navigating through the rocks, and everybody was joking and laughing, and I feel like the porpoise were a sign. Yeah.
That's the face of a man who loves pulling an oar. That's the face of a man who also loves pulling an oar. That's the face of a man who loves slacking off at the smart stick.
So after Higgins Pass, we have like 200 miles to go to Ketchikan. And once you're through Higgins Pass, you pretty much steer 330 degrees north. So the rest of the race is now a straight shot. And you know what you have to do at that point. And so the next few days, we had a lot of good southerly. It was just downwind sailing. And by the time we got to Dixon Entrance, we realized that, we were going to be able to come pretty close to finishing in our goal. It was like around day 9, and we figured if we could finish the rest of the race, 150 miles in a day and some change, we would have done well.
once we made it to Dixon entrance, the feeling that we were going to make it, that you knew the finish was just around the corner. We'd had such good wind for days, and we just covered a lot of ground. And once you're in Dixon entrance, it's a big open body of water, and the waves get bigger, and there's some rocky islands out there, and we were sailing by them, and it was another just incredible moment where you recognized that you were surrounded by all this natural beauty that you wouldn't really see anywhere else, and it felt very rewarding to be at that point where you pushed yourself to your limit and to know that you were going to make it, to know that the finish was within our reach. And so after that night, the rocks, we get by them, we're sailing, we're getting up to Mary Island, which is kind of the last corner before you go straight into Ketchikan. It's only 20 miles from the finish line.
Alright, what's going to happen in here?
It's early in the morning, we've been sailing all night in really strong wind, and I'm sailing with Malachi and Eric and my dad. All four of us are up, and Joey and Tommy are sleeping. And we just catch a really strong gust, and the mast snaps in half. And it's just like catastrophic, and we're like, what? But we just had to react really quickly and try and get the mast back in the boat, get the sail back in the boat. It's still very windy. Fortunately, we were by Mary Island, so there was land that we could kind of turn in behind to get out of the wind. And once we fished the mast back into the boat, we realized that it had just been part of the aluminum pipe, so it wasn't any of the actual wood, and the fitting was still good, so we just lost 2 feet of mast, and we just put the wood back into the pipe, re-rigged everything, and we were sailing again in like 15 minutes. And it was cool to just react to a problem, like without there's no hysterics. Everybody just knew what we had to do, and we re-rigged it, and we went on our merry way. And 8 hours later, we were at the finish line.
And 18 hours into the final leg of the 2019 race to Alaska. We just got demasted again. 2 for 2. Yeah, almost made it. This time on the end, not the beginning. This time, it might have qualified as a demasting. It was in the mast. Yeah. But it's back up. We refit it real quick, and our only real casualty was our team flag. R.I.P. They desperately attempt to get dry.
Pathetic! Disgusting!
Look at the little booties. Look at the little booties. Oh, this little piggy went to the market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef.
You're grabbing my feet, but I can't feel it.
And this little piggy went wee 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 all the way home.
But so yeah, the beginning of the race and the end of the race, they felt really similar. I was a lot not more motivated, but I believed in the mission more in the beginning and the end. The middle part, it was hard. It was really hard. It was grueling labor every day, and it was cold. But at the end, like with the last, it was like 2 or 3 hours, we were shirtless in the rain, and it was as cold as it had ever been on the race. And we're just like rowing shirtless, not giving a shit because we knew we were about to finish.
Last half mile! Come on! Come on!
Come on, be strong!
Rock your boys! We'll get wild!
Fuck, it's cold! I can't keep changing my clothes! I'm so wet! Are we sailing? Or are we rowing? No! Why? Why?
I don't know why!
Why?
I think that Tommy made an incredible point when he said that
the start of the race and the end of the race were like felt the most similar out of the whole thing. He's absolutely right, because the energy was so high. And at the beginning of the race, you're just stoked to be out there, and you're just grinding, and the fatigue sets in, and the whole middle of the race, it's like, it takes its toll. But when you get to the finish and you know that you've made it, like half the teams don't finish this race, and when you know that you've made it, like that's crowning achievement right there, and it is so gratifying. And just that was enough to get everybody was ecstatic when we came in. We knew that we were going to come up to the harbor, and we're in Tongass Narrows, and we think that we're going to get there pretty quickly, and then we hit some current and we kind of slowed down, but we took our shirts off in the rain just because of how pumped we were. And we're all just screaming and singing and rowing, and it's kind of windy and rainy, and we're like, damn, we might have taken our shirts off a little early. But we did get around to the harbor mouth, and like everybody in the Ketchikan harbor basin could hear us coming.
Dude, it is brutally cold right now. If I would be fucked if we weren't a mile away from Ketchikan. I'd be dead. I would die. There's no hope. This is hypothermia right here. This is hypothermia in action. We're doing it for the finish. We didn't think it was gonna rain. It rained. We are wet. Huge! Who's fucking Take it off, Tommy! Take it off! It's just wet anyway! Come on! Get naked! Yeah! Yeah! Homoeroticism! Yeah! Woo! Okay.
You know, you really wonder. There are some teams where you see them in the beginning of the race, and they're really high spirits and they're really gung-ho. And then when they come in, you can see obviously that they've changed. They've gone through some emotional or physical, they've evolved in some way. And you kind of wonder what shit did they have to go through on the race. You know, it's 750 miles long in arguably, you know, one of the most beautiful but one of the most demanding environments. And you wonder what happened. But not with Team North to Alaska. When I saw them in Victoria, and then I saw them in Ketchikan, and unfortunately I didn't really have too much experience with them in between, but if these guys went through any emotional or physical stress through the race, they did not show that whatsoever when they got into Ketchikan.
On men! All together, what the fuck? You're a bunch of animals! Look at yourselves! We are doing together! Oh, there it is. It's lost! Yeah! We lost! There's no semblance of sanity left!
It was pissing rain. It was just terrible weather. And if you're on the dock, so paint the picture for you, there's the dock that you come in, and so you come around the corner, and then you're in between, you're coming up to the dock to ring the bell. And I could hear Team North to Alaska before I could see them. And that's really fucking cool. And then around the corner comes these, I think there's upwards of like 7 guys on this tiny, minuscule boat. And it's pissing rain, and they're all half naked. And your first thought is like, what the fuck are they doing? All half naked, all shirtless, and they're all chanting. It was just otherworldly.
Well. Beautiful day. Yachting about. Just a bunch of yachtsmen. You know. Nothing to see here. Yacht stuff.
Oh my God.
It didn't start. It wasn't raining when we took our shirts off.
Oh yeah? Was that in Victoria?
When we come up to the dock, there's a crowd waiting for us, and we ring the bell. And finishing felt as good as finishing as the first time. It wasn't secondary. And I think this race had, doing it with different people and doing it in a different way, we changed a lot of things. We had different struggles, and the weather wasn't the same. So there were different things that we had to overcome that year that lent value to having done it again.
Man. Come on!
God
damn.
2 for 2. And you should know, we just got demasted.
What? Are you serious?
2 for 2, yeah. We got 2 feet of aluminum pipe that broke off the top.
No way.
Yeah. It was like, fuck, great. Awesome. 20 miles short, almost made it.
No way.
Yeah.
Was that what put you up, slowed you down by Mary
Slowed
Island?
down right by Mary Island.
Yeah.
Dude, it was lucky we were by Mary Island because we need to like re-rig and like pull our mast out of the water and just It was we got right behind the lee, but it was blowing hard right up to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Someone's like, I was talking to someone. They're like, "Do you think they pulled in to get out of the weather?" And I was like, no. I don't do that. I don't think that's wrong.
You have to ring the bell.
Oh yeah, you do have to ring the bell.
I saw you guys go smoking past my house there.
Let's go, boys. Hands on the bell. Hey, wait. All hands on deck.
All right.
Wait. Let me get the rod.
All right.
Get the dog.
The dog.
Get the dog. Let's go.
You guys gotta look up this way for the picture.
Oh, clean.
Somebody gave him a bath.
He's a clean doggy.
More than I can say for these scallywags.
Hey guys, close. Pretty close.
Gather in.
There you go.
Part of the crowd down at the dock, a lot of them are media from the race team, and they're taking pictures and they're shooting film, and you feel like rock stars. Like really, you do. They make you feel like rock stars, and that's really cool. And I was so proud of my team, like to know how hard that everybody else had worked as well for my project. Like it is really powerful, and everybody was just so happy. My dog was there, Ranger was there at the end to greet us. It was all smiles.
Oh, man, that's one of the best feelings of my life. It's top 5. Probably the best feeling of my life is seeing, as we go past, we see this huge cruise ship as we go into the actual bay where we end, like the dock. And I was like, holy shit, we were on this tiny little boat. We just rode 750 miles. I'm just like looking up, and I think that was kind of where I was like, damn, like we did this. Like we might not have gotten first place, but we actually completed it, and I was really proud.
And I remember first thing that one of these guys does when they get off the boat is he lit a cigarette, and I remember taking a photo of him, and he just looks so tired. These guys were really hard workers, and they're strong people, extremely strong people. I remember taking photos of their hands. That looked rough. Their hands were just beat to shit. Calluses on top of calluses on top of open calluses. These guys, I think, really represent what it means to be a racer in the Race to Alaska.
You go into it thinking, all right, this is going to be really, really hard. This is going to be one of the greatest adventure of my life, you know, going up the Inside Passage all the way to Alaska on an open boat. That's really unique, really special. And I did it once the first time, and that was brutal. That was just hard, and we all agreed on that. And then, I mean, talking to the crew, the previous crew, you know, they all agreed that they pretty much one and done. You know, it's a once in a lifetime experience. But doing it again, I thought, you know, maybe we could do better. This boat has definitely inspired me. It's definitely made me know that there really isn't much that you can do anything you want, really.
Yeah.
Like we made it. We've been to masted twice.
Twice.
We've been in weather that we weren't supposed to be
No
in.
boat this size has any business being out in.
Yeah, but because of who we had to become out there, we figured it out. That's just who we are. So.
And that's the other thing about this race. I think a lot of people, like people that haven't done it, they look at it and they're like, wow, this is like climbing Mount Everest. Like, this is insane.
It's definitely a feat.
It's a feat,
but
it's not unachievable.
No.
You know? And I think anybody can really do anything if they prepare themselves for it.
Yeah.
If they decide, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to quit.
Yeah, I hope it inspired the other guys as much as it taught me.
Paper bride came all the way from China. Golden Gate, San Francisco Bay. Spent a lifetime on Angel Island, waiting for